You could be profitable over a 200 game sample size, think you're a winning sports bettor and you know your stuff. However, you're getting negative closing line value 99% of the time. In the future, you are going to find that your bankroll tends towards the mean and you're going to lose money. Hey, what is going on, guys? It is August Young, Doc Sports, and we're going to be talking about closing line value in today's video and why closing line value matters and why you should be paying attention to it. Now, before we get into that, you need to understand obviously what closing line value means, and I'm going to try and explain that to you in the simplest form. Now, closing line value simply means if you obtained value or not on your initial wager compared to where the market closed. Now, if that sounds confusing, there's an easier way to explain it. Now, sportsbooks have an opening line, which is the first number they set on a game. So let's say Circa here in Las Vegas, if they set the Baltimore Ravens at -2.5, their opening line was -2.5. Now, the closing line is that number moments before kickoff. And that's the same for all sports, before puck drop, before tip-off. The moments right before is known as the closing line. So assume the Baltimore Ravens, Sunday now, 1 minute before kickoff, the line is now -4, then that is the closing line -4. Now, the reason this is important, closing line value is a tool that all professional sports bettors use to gauge if they are winning sports bettors. Simply, you want to always attempt to achieve closing line value. Sportsbooks move their lines and odds for a variety of reasons, but it is not what most of you think. And if you click down in the description, there is a link to another video that I am doing on why sportsbooks move their odds and lines. And that will hopefully give you some insight into why the market moves and why this closing line value is so important. So these videos kind of do go hand in hand. But back to the point here. When it comes to closing line value, you want to be achieving closing line value and not getting negative closing line value. Now, positive, so good closing line value would be something like you lay the -2.5 on the Ravens on, let's say, Thursday, and Sunday, right before kickoff, the Baltimore Ravens are -4. That is known as closing line value and is a very good wager that long-term will win you money. That is the name of the game long-term. Now, if you bet the Baltimore Ravens -2.5 and by kickoff on Sunday, it's a pick'em, that is not good closing line value, and over the long haul will become a losing proposition and a losing wager. Now, it's also important to understand you don't just look at this in terms of points. So if you lay -2.5 and they are -4 just before kickoff, you could say I got 1.5 points of closing line value. That is true. However, it's very important to understand not all numbers are created equal. We know this. Sportsbooks will tax you, for example, by buying on and off the 3 because that number is more important. And for example, I made a note of this here that just so you understand the difference here, let's say you lay -2.5 and by kickoff, the number is -3.5. That is 16% approximately closing line value. Now, if you lay -7.5 in another game, and by kickoff it's -8.5. That's still just a 1 point move, just like the 2.5 to the 3.5, just a 1 point move, but that's only 5% line value. So going from 2.5 to 3.5 is essentially 3 times more line value than the point move from 7.5 to 8.5. That's very important because that all dictates how you bet and how successful you can expect your wager to be. So we're not going to keep this going too long, but we might do an advanced video on this as well, sort of the advanced side of closing line value. But just understand that closing line value is very important and you should always be paying attention to where the line closes and adjusting it to your number to see if you made a good wager. And the reasoning's simple. In the short term, let's say 20 games, 30 games, if you win or lose, that is not indicative of if you are a winning sports bettor. Anything can happen in a short sample size, and believe it or not, sample size is a lot larger than most people think if you're a winning sports bettor. It can be north of 2,000 games. So simply put, you could be profitable over a 200 game sample size, think you're a winning sports bettor and you know your stuff. However, you're getting negative closing line value 99% of the time. In the future, you are going to find that your bankroll tends towards the mean and you're going to lose money because of the built-in bookmakers VIG. Now, if you're getting positive line value and you're, let's say, losing, let's say you've bet 100 games and you're beating the market, you're laying that -2.5 and it's closing -3.5, -4, but you lose money, that's okay. This is a good sign that you know what you're doing and you should stick to your process, because long term that will make you money. This is proven across many, many data sets. And when I get into the advanced version of this video, you will understand, why it's so important to gauge this and this closing line value. But just know it is very important that you achieve closing line value with your wagers. Very important. Can't overstate it enough. And you can ask every single professional sports bettor on this planet, and they will give you the same answer of the importance of closing line value. It is the #1 metric to gauge if you are a winning sports bettor or not, and not your bankroll or return of investment. Unless you're in a very, very select group of people, there are the odd sports bettors out there who don't achieve closing line value and make money, but they are far and few between, and the chances you are one of them, I hate to break it to you, is highly unlikely. So closing line value, that is the name of the game. That equals profits. And that actually ties very nicely into another video I'll be doing about expected value and also what value means in sports betting. I hope this made sense. It's a long way about saying closing line value is making sure the number you bet is a better number than where the market closes. If you do that, you're golden. Hope this video was helpful for you guys, and that is what closing line value is all about. And once again, this is August Young, DocSports.com.